The greatest driver in Formula One challenged the limits of speed and courage to deliver the greatest race in the history of the sport. August 10th, 1957. Nürburgring Nordschleife, the world's most challenging circuit, hosts the German Grand Prix, a 23-kilometer track winding through the mountains of Germany. Juan Manuel Fangio, at 46 years old, already a four-time world champion, needed just one more victory to secure his fifth world title in his seventh year of Formula One. That year, Fangio was back with Maserati, the team that had given him the championship in 1954. He was driving the 250F, the same car that had secured his 1954 title. It was equipped with a 2.5-liter inline-six engine, considered by many as the best front-engine car in Formula One history. It was the penultimate front-engine car to win a world championship. His favorite car on his favorite track. The Nürburgring Nordschleife circuit is a temple of motorsport and remains one of the most challenging races in all of motor racing. Fangio believed that the layout of the Green Hell, as Jackie Stewart later called it, favored the driver over the car. With its 23 kilometers, 166 corners, and an impressive 300-meter altitude difference between its highest and lowest points, located in the town of Nürburg, among the mountains of Germany, it was a true test of skill. According to Fangio, even a driver with poor equipment could achieve great things at Nürburgring. The Argentine had already raced there 4 times in Formula One, winning twice and finishing second the other 2 times. He had also secured victories in other categories that used the circuit. But there was a problem. The Ferraris of Mike Hawthorn and Peter Collins were faster and were using Engelbert tires, which were significantly harder than the Pirellis used by Maserati. Fangio suspected that his tires would wear out quickly and feared losing because of it. Knowing that the Ferraris would start with full tanks and complete the race without stopping, the standard strategy at the time, Fangio decided to start with half a tank and make a pit stop to change his rear tires and refuel. The mechanics had practiced extensively for the stop and were managing to execute it in 30 seconds. This was a risky move for the time. Besides the time lost, refueling was dangerous due to the rudimentary process. It was a time when they only cared about speed. Safety was minimal, if not non-existent. Helmets were made of cork and leather. There were no seatbelts. Track layouts did not prioritize safety. The asphalt was rough and full of potholes. And cars were built purely for speed with no protective structures for the driver. Accidents were horrific, with cars crashing into telegraph poles, trees, fences, stone walls, and other hazards, often resulting in fatalities. That year, most of the track had been resurfaced, and lap times were significantly lower than in previous years. Fangio took pole position with a time of 9:25.6, nearly 30 seconds faster than his own pole time from the previous year. Mike Hawthorn started second, followed by Gene Barra's Maserati, with Peter Collins' Ferrari completing the front row. At that time, grid positions alternated in rows of 4 and 3 cars. The race started. Fangio knew he needed a perfect race to win, but right from the beginning, he saw the 2 red Ferraris pull ahead. Mike Hawthorn and Peter Collins took the lead, but if there was one thing Fangio knew how to do better than anyone, it was to wait for the right moment. 2 laps later, he attacked. In a display of surgical precision, he overtook both Ferraris and reclaimed the lead. Now, the race was his. Setting a relentless pace, he quickly built a gap. 10 seconds, 15, 20. By the 11th lap, his lead was already 28 seconds. It was time for his planned pit stop. Fangio entered the pits for refueling and to change his rear tires. Everything was supposed to take no more than 30 seconds, as planned. He stepped out of the car to drink some water and change his goggles. But in the rush to change the rear tires, a mechanic dropped a wheel nut under the car, causing chaos in the Maserati pit. It took them nearly 30 extra seconds to find the nut before Fangio could finally return to the track. By then, both Ferraris had passed.
Meanwhile, Hawthorn and Collins storm by into a handsome lead. They've both seen Fangio in the pits and know they've got to put some distance between themselves and him.
The lead he had fought so hard to build was gone. He rejoined in third place, nearly a minute behind the second-place car. In the grandstands, Ferrari fans were already celebrating. Fangio's first lap after the stop was not particularly fast, leading Ferrari to assume he would maintain that pace for the rest of the race. From the pit wall, Hawthorn and Collins received instructions to maintain their rhythm. Little did the Italians know that Fangio was about to do something no one thought possible. Starting on lap 13, the chase began. If he had been fast before, now he seemed to be on another level. Fangio later described his experience during the race.
This race was almost lost for me, so I had to take risks, something I had never done before in my life. I started shifting from fourth gear to fifth. I began pushing harder, using longer gears. At first I thought, maybe once is okay, but doing this twice is madness. But I made the right decision. If I had been using second gear in a corner, I moved to third. If it was third, I used fourth. And the car entered the corners better. There was much more risk, far less safety, but I was going faster. It wasn't comfortable, I lacked grip in the corners, but in the end, I had to win.
With a blistering pace, he broke the lap record repeatedly. By lap 16, the gap had shrunk to 33 seconds. By lap 17, it was 25. By lap 19, only 13.5 seconds remained.
And then, on one of the descents, I saw the other two cars. They were right ahead of me, only 2 laps to go. That was the first moment I really believed I could catch them.
Fangio could now see Collins ahead, and the Argentine was flying through Nürburgring. On the final lap, Fangio dived inside, overtook Collins, and immediately set his sights on the other Ferrari. Moments later, Hawthorn was overtaken as well. In total, he broke the lap record 9 times in the last 10 laps, 7 of them consecutively. Fangio crossed the finish line first, 3 seconds ahead of Mike Hawthorn. A race had ended, but a legend was born. Fangio won his 5th and final title and his last Formula One race. Despite losing the race and the championship, the Ferrari drivers stepped out of their cars and carried Fangio to the podium, celebrating as if they had won themselves.
I had never driven that fast in my life, and I don't think I will ever be able to do it again. I had reached the limit of my concentration and my will to win. Until that race, I had never pushed myself or my car to such an extreme. But that day, I demanded so much of myself that I couldn't sleep for 2 nights. I experienced a feeling that no other race had ever given me, one that still returns when I think back to that time.
Fangio finished second in 2 more races that year and competed in one final Formula One race in 1958. He retired with an impressive 47% win rate, securing 5 titles in the 7 seasons he completed, the only driver to win championships with 4 different teams.